Hello, good evening. I'm May. Welcome to EU web series Uzbekistan.
Hey,
Sure.
Hey, how come got camera one? What are you doing?
Yes, I'm doing EU Facebook Live.
Oh yeah, today Sunday 8:30 p.m. already leh. Hey, hello, I'm Jacqueline.
So now we are already on live. Okay. So how are you guys? Miss working in office, right?
Oh yeah, now circuit breaker. We everyday eat, drink at home.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing?
Yeah, so now everybody cannot travel, but it's alright. We can dream first and travel later. So today I would like to introduce a destination called Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan. You went before?
No, actually went to Uzbekistan.
Okay, so I think more or less a lot of people never heard before where is Uzbekistan, 乌兹别克斯坦。So 很多人不知道哪里是乌兹别克斯坦，其实它是位于中亚的一个内陆国家，那是世界上双重内陆国之一哦。那对于大多数人来讲呢，乌兹别克斯坦是神秘而陌生的。那乌兹别克斯坦呢，它有着著名的丝绸之路古国的一个名称，所以呢，很多人呢，对它的历史文化呢产生很多兴趣。那接下来呢，我要介绍的就是乌兹别克斯坦的大城市，也就是他们的首都，就是在塔什干capital 是在塔什干。对，那塔什干呢是中亚里面的第一大城市，那它也是重要的经济和文化中心。那接下来呢，我会有一个短片要介绍你看，那我们请看。
Video leh. Actually, after seeing this video, right, I find the place quite familiar leh. I think last few days I scroll my Facebook, right, I saw one of my friends Timothy go. I think he also posted about this country. You know who is Timothy?
Yeah, of course, I know him. He's one of the famous DJ in Singapore, right?
Yeah, he's our famous radio DJ in in Singapore. He's right now currently hosting on Money FM 89.3. He's also our veteran TV news reporter and editor on Channel News Asia as well. He also hosted on other radio stations before.
You really know him, ah?
Yeah, he's my friend, what?
So let's give him a call now.
Okay, let me do a video call and get him to tell us more about this country, Uzbekistan. Okay?
Okay, let's see.
Let's call Timothy.
Hello team, how are you? Staying at home or got to work? I'm actually doing a Facebook Live with my friend May, talking about Uzbekistan, and also came across your Facebook post that day actually. Could you share us more about your trip over there?
Hey, Jacqueline. Hey, May. Well, thanks for inviting me over to join you guys on your Facebook Live. I am very excited to talk about two places I've traveled to recently, and Uzbekistan and Iran, of course. Uzbekistan I've been to 3 times already. Can you believe that? From the very first time I went there 2 years ago, I've been going back every year since. So, well, is it 2 years ago? I can't count, but the first time I went there was 2018. I went back last year, 2019. I went back again this year, a few weeks ago. In fact, I was there. So it's a very, very beautiful place, and that's why I keep going back to Uzbekistan. But it's not just the place. I want to talk about Uzbekistan in a different way, in a way that not many people would expect, I guess. Let me talk about the people. I think after going there for 3 times now, the number one reason why I like going to Uzbekistan is the people. Really, how warm and friendly and welcoming the people are in Uzbekistan, even in the capital, Tashkent, which is a very big city, and it's the entry point to the country, really, for many of us. The first time I went there, you go to a new place, you're not so sure about it, and you are, you're guarded, of course, when you go there. And that was me. I went there, arrived late at night, had dinner, slept. The next morning, I went out. Of course, I did ask the hotel concierge where I can go to get my money changed, where I can get a SIM card and all that. And they did point out the places to me, so I checked them out. It was easy. It was that easy. I got my SIM card at one of the mobile phone offices, and surprisingly, it was the day before my birthday. So the clerk was like trying to enter my details in her computer, and it's like, hey, it's your birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, things like that. Little things that you don't even realize. Of course, she knew it was my birthday because I had my passport with me. You need your passport to get a SIM card there. Anyway, power went off, and they couldn't continue getting me registered for a SIM card. And what happened was there was another guy right beside me who was so friendly. He was like, oh, you need a SIM card? I'll take you to another mobile phone office because power was out. So I'm like, all right, sure. And then he did. He took me to another office to get a SIM card. And that was just that. You kind of let your guard down, and it was a complete stranger. He spoke English, so I thought, hey, why not? After that, I took the train. And this is me. I just wander around without knowing where I'm going. Took the train, the metro, Tashkent Metro, by the way, something you need to check out because it's beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. In a very charming, old-fashioned way. Anyway, I took the train, not knowing where I was going, thinking that I would understand instructions because why not, right? Understand station names and maps, but the Uzbek train system is very different. The metro system is very different, and the stations are in Russian. The directions are actually the direction of the train rather is somewhere else. It's not where we're used to on top of the train in Singapore or in a map. For the Uzbek metro stations, it's on the back of the platform. So if you missed it the first time, you're lost. Anyway, I was trying to get to Chorsu Market, which is the bazaar, the biggest bazaar in Tashkent, and didn't know where I was going. Somebody approached me, asked me where I was going because I was holding a map, an old one at that, and he wasn't going to where I was going. So you know what? He was just asking around people on the MRT platform, and another stranger came up to me and said, "I'm going there, just follow me." And so I did. That's how friendly the people are over there. Subsequently, I met a lot of people on the first time I was there, and we kept in contact and became friends and met even more people through social media, through friends of friends, and that's just the way it is. It's so friendly over there once you get to know them. I went back the second time, same thing, hang out with some friends. Some of the people I met joined me in some parts of my trip, and this year was a good test of how everything was, because I was there in March, and halfway through my trip, well, you know, it's time of COVID-19, halfway through my trip, and the borders in Uzbekistan closed. No flights, no nothing. Restaurants started closing, hotels started closing around us, and there was nowhere else to go. The whole country was under quarantine. And because I made friends, I was already in Kiva when things happened. When I was there, every family that I knew took me in, made sure we are fed, and for dinner, lunch, and the hotel I'm staying at was open because they had guests, so we had breakfast. But ever since the city closed down, everything closed down, we had something to eat all the time. So families took us in and made sure we were all taken care of. And that's how nice the people are over there. You might, you know, when you first get there, might not think so because they don't smile as often or as readily as you would. But if you smile at them, they smile back, and you say hello, you speak Russian, or you don't, and you use your Google Translate to help you get around. So that's how I fell in love with Uzbekistan, was because of the people. So when you go there, make sure you meet people, and they will make sure that you are cared for, and really every step of the way being taken care of. And that's really a nice thing. You don't get to see that in many parts of the world anymore these days. When they talk about Thais or Filipinos being hospitable in this part of the world, it's a whole different level over there. So you have to experience it yourself to know what I'm talking about. Let's talk about food, because I've been trying my hands on cooking plov, which is a traditional Uzbek rice dish. In fact, it's traditional all over Central Asia. In Uzbekistan, every region have their own way of doing it. So it's basically meat, any kind of meat, pork, okay, not pork, sorry, beef. Well, if you want to use pork, why not? But it's mostly beef, lamb, or chicken, or a combination. And you make a broth or a stew out of it by stir-frying it with all the spices that you want. And then you cook a layer of rice on top of it. Carrots is very important because it gives that color. And then a layer of rice over it. You cook it in, they call it a kazan, but in our part of the world, it's a wok. You cook it and mix it up after, and it's so good, it's so rich, it's so fatty and greasy, and you eat it with your hands, and it's wonderful. I've been trying it. I've tried it twice already. The first time I used an Instant Pot cooker, which didn't really turn out well. So just last week I tried it the traditional way on a wok without measuring anything, and you're just really using your eyes to measure how much water you need for the rice and how much salt you need and how much spices you need, and it was so good. I think the secret was I used a lot of lamb fat. Kind of fry the lamb fat first, let it render all the oils, put in your lamb, your beef, your carrots, your garlic, a lot of garlic, a lot of onions, and you put the rice in, and you just have to be patient, and it turned out really, really well. Surprisingly, I put it they call shashlik. So you have shashlik, either minced meat, minced lamb, minced beef, or chicken, in a metal skewer, which is very good, or you have chunks of meat like beef and lamb. I tried this one called Napoleon, which is layers of meat and fat and meat and fat and meat and fat. It's all grilled to perfection, and it's the staple it's what everybody eats when you go to a restaurant. Food cost is very cheap in Uzbekistan. A skewer, a shashlik, one shashlik, which has, I would say, about maybe 200 grams worth of meat and fat, would cost you less than $1. Maybe slightly over $1 if you go to a fancy restaurant, but less than $1 traditionally. US dollars I'm talking about. And it's very good, mouth-watering, juicy. And another thing that I like in Uzbekistan are the soups, the meat soup. They're cooked, of course, for the whole day with full fat, all the meat fat, and it's so tender and tasty, and wow, it's making me hungry just thinking about it. Maybe I'll have that for dinner. But yeah, the soups are so rich. Dumplings are also another thing that they're big on. Pretty much like your Chinese dumplings that you might think of, like the manti is what they call it. It's a dumpling with meat inside, and in certain parts of Uzbekistan they have greens, vegetables inside, herbs and vegetables inside. I forgot what it's called. In Khiva, which is in the west side, they have a dumpling which is made of eggs, like scrambled eggs inside. It's called the tumbarak, which is also very good. The dumplings are served cold or cooled. So they're hot, but they're cooled with yogurt, and you eat them with yogurt, or sometimes they're served in a soup, like mini dumplings, meat dumplings that you put with your beef broth or chicken broth. It's so good. Food there is simple, nothing fancy. Grilled meats, dumplings in soup cooked all day, and rice dishes. Very, very, very simple, very, very rich, and food there is very cheap. All right, so now let's talk about the place. I didn't discover Uzbekistan. I knew about this place growing up because when I started paying attention to the news, it was in the late 80s. And by the time the 90s rolled around, all these Central Asian former USSR republics were breaking away, and Uzbekistan was one of those who broke away. I believe it was 1990, maybe 1989, something like that. I'm not sure. I was just so fascinated by the name, Uzbekistan. And then subsequently I became more of an intrepid traveler. I like discovering and going to places people don't often go to, and Uzbekistan was right there. I'm gonna go there. Didn't know anything about it, didn't know how to get there, found a way to get there, and I am the kind of traveler who don't plan for anything, so I just go and explore, and wow! I thought I was just going to see a place that nobody knew about, that nobody was traveling to. And it turned out that it was magical. It was really just magic. Tashkent, which is the capital, it's just like any other city. You know, your shopping centers, shopping malls, parks, monuments, things like that. Spend a day in Tashkent. And then move all the way, fly to the west if you can afford it. It's not very expensive. To this place called Khiva, which is my favorite city in Uzbekistan because it is very much an open air museum. It's a city that, there's an old town, the Khiva Old Town, which is still functioning as an old town. People still live there. They've converted their homes into hotels and guest house, but there are still people living there, working there, doing things there, and it's just like going back in time. This time around, I even saw women baking their traditional breads in the middle of the town in a tandir, which is like a tandoor oven. You know, you kind of cook the bread there. So that's the charm of Khiva. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but people are still living there. So it's like a living city. It's so real. It's wonderful. Go to Khiva. Many of the tours may not include it because of time, because it's all the way in the west. It's 13, 14 hours by train, I think, but it's only a less than 2-hour flight from the capital, and it's worth your time to go there and just take your time, take it easy, don't rush. There's not much to do except to really enjoy the monuments and just look at the buildings, and it's amazing. Another place that I really like is Samarkand, which you probably have heard of. It's Uzbekistan's second biggest city. It's very popular and among travelers. And there's this place called the Registan, which is a public square, which I later heard was referred to often as the most beautiful public square in the early Middle Ages. And now that it's all been restored and refurbished, I think it's the most beautiful public square that nobody knows about. On its own, during the day, it's beautiful. At night, when it's lit up, it's gorgeous. When they have this light show going on, wow, you can just stand there and just stare at the whole thing coming to life. It's that beautiful. And the good thing is, if you go during the off-peak, there aren't a lot of tourists around, so you can just go there, take pictures, have your own photo shoot if that's what you want, sit down and have coffee and just imagine how life used to be in a place like that. It's beautiful. If you've been to the Taj Mahal and you think the Taj Mahal is gorgeous, wow, this one, the Registan, is even better. And along that same area, there are a lot of historic monuments that you need to check out when you go to Samarkand. The Shah-e-Zinda, which is a complex of mausoleums of important people, also very beautiful, very peaceful. You can spend half a day just sitting there and admiring the structures of Shah-e-Zinda. And there is the Bibi Kanim, which is a complex of mosques and buildings that were built for a queen, and parts of it had been restored, parts had not been restored. So it's something to check out as well, because if you can sneak inside the unrestored part and see what it looks like before it gets restored, it's amazing. There aren't a lot of places in the world like this anymore, where you can still see things that have not been restored and kind of sneak in. But it's, yeah, you can still do this in Uzbekistan. And of course, another city that a lot of travel tours will take you to is this place called Bukhara, which I think is the most tourist-ready of all of Uzbekistan's great historic cities. Bukhara is very charming. It has a lot of cafes, a lot of good restaurants, good cafes, a lot of small boutique hotels that were maybe former madrasas or family homes that have been converted into hotels, and they're all beautiful, very comfortable to stay in. There's also this traditional hammam for men. They do take some women if you're a couple, but it's mostly for men in Bukhara that you need to check out. For about $20 or so, you get a body scrub, a massage, and the best part, at the end of it all, you get a ginger rub on your body while you warm up inside the hammam, which is very magical. I like that one as well. Shopping in Uzbekistan is very, very cheap. I know a lot of Singaporean travelers love to shop, so most people shop in the bazaars. So every big city will have their main bazaars and other bazaars where you can go and buy things for a very, very reasonable price. Very cheap, in fact. Like the plates I was talking about, you can bargain if you want. You don't have to, because they're already cheap as it is. And Chorsu Bazaar in Tashkent, it's big. You can get everything you want there, and it's beautiful as well. They have fruits and meat. The meat part of Chorsu is amazing. You can get to see all kinds of meat in there. So bazaars are one place where you can shop in Uzbekistan. Touristy ones, of course, or if you know somebody who can take you to where real people shop, even better, because it's going to be even cheaper. And you go with a local and you're given local prices. having said that, the prices they might charge tourists are not that expensive anyway, but you do your own bargaining. In Tashkent, there are plenty of shopping centers, modern shopping centers now, where you can go and shop for clothes. They have their local brands, their international brands, their Turkish brands. Something to check out. I mean, I had to go shopping myself because it was very cold when I got there in March, so I needed to buy some winter clothes. So that's when I discovered the shopping centers. But apart from the bazaars, it's not really a place to go shopping. It's a place to, I think, personally, it's a place where you meet people, and they will come up to you and ask for selfies, by the way, or practice speaking their English with you, and do that. Just be open to that whole concept of meeting new people and strangers while you're traveling. It's an enriching part of traveling. So meeting people and just sitting there looking at these gorgeous monuments and wonder how they made it, how they built it, and enjoy the fact that not a lot of tourists go there. So if you go, you are one of the first ones in your group of friends, in your family, to go. And it's safe. That's the first thing that everyone asks me about Uzbekistan. It is very, very safe. In fact, I read constant reports about Uzbekistan being one of the top 5 safest countries in the world. Of course, you need to be careful, but hey, it's one place where I can leave my mobile phone outside in a cafe, go inside, get a cake, come out, and it's still going to be there. So that's how safe it is. If you have a chance, you should go. If you want, you can ask me more about it in the future. So yeah, I think I've been talking too much, ladies. I'm going to leave it there and hand it back to you. So yeah, since we're all staying home and working from home, May and Jacqueline, stay home, stay safe, and yeah, ask me anything you want about Uzbekistan. I'll be here to answer.
thank you. Wow. Man, after hearing what Timothy say in his video, right, I felt like I actually went to Uzbekistan already.
所以我说他是新加坡著名的 DJ 是绝对是对的，我们给他一个
赞赏，两个。
接下来呢，我们的1月晚间特辑呢也要到了尾声。那其实我们还有一个乌兹别克的旅游资讯的续集。那我们下个星期见，拜拜。
Harazımlı lezgisinde köp yapar.